November 1945. World War II had just ended, but on Long Island, Betsy was just getting started. A childhood friend told us that Betsy loved to ride bikes, raise a ruckus, and stay up really late, all of which have become lifelong habits for Betsy. She was a gifted athlete, besting many of the boys. Yet they wouldn't let her play on the Little League team or on the high school tennis team, and she certainly hasn't forgotten that. Betsy went to Wellesley College, which at the time was brimming with future women trailblazers. In 1964, she met a Harvard man named Ken Plevan, and they began a courtship. They married while pursuing their law degrees, then moved to Seattle when Ken was called to serve in the Air Force. Soon after, Betsy was hired as the first female associate at Seattle's leading law firm, Bogle and Gates.
They didn't have an associate office for her, so they gave her a sort of a temporary inside office that was opposite the men's room. One day, she showed up to the office wearing a pantsuit, something that no woman in the office had ever done before. And the office manager was a woman who sort of terrified the staff and had kind of this dress code. She was furious, but there was nothing she could do. And after that, all the women's staff in the office started wearing pantsuits.
After Ken finished his military service, the Plevans moved back east, and Betsy applied to Proskauer. I was riding a train with a Proskauer partner when I first read Betsy's resume. My companion had written "no" in the corner, but I convinced him that we should interview her.
She interviewed and got an offer from Proskauer. She was very excited. And before she started work, we were invited to the Proskauer summer outing. It was an extremely hot day. In those days, of course, everyone was dressed in suits. I put my jacket in the back seat. Our car didn't have air conditioning. And we drove in from New Jersey, and we got to Sunningdale, and I looked in the back seat, and my jacket was not there. Betsy was mortified. So she said, just wait outside here for 3 to 4 hours, and I'll come out when dinner is over. Eventually, she allowed me to go in, and of course, I had to apologize to everyone I met.
I was at that party and overheard a managing partner's wife say, "A husband with no jacket? Well, she certainly won't make it at Proskauer." Early on, I asked Betsy to go to Texas in the summer to take 3 depositions in 3 days in 3 different cities. She had to carry a lot: a litigation bag, an overnight bag. Oh, and did I mention she was 5 months pregnant at the time? But Betsy did her work flawlessly and amazingly didn't sue me for giving her that assignment. Soon, Betsy was working on NBA matters with me and another Proskauer lawyer.
I would say that Betsy was one of the most tenacious lawyers with whom I've ever had the pleasure to interact. But I do remember that she was very disrespectful of me when I became a partner, because she insisted that I split the cheesecake that we used to get from the Stage Deli at 1 in the morning, even though there was 1 piece.
Betsy made her mark at Proskauer. She was the first woman in Proskauer's litigation department, and ultimately the first woman to serve on Proskauer's executive committee. Oh, and the first woman to hit a grand slam at a Proskauer baseball game. One of Betsy's most profound impacts has been to expand opportunities for women in the legal profession. In 1995, as the first chair for the newly formed New York City Bar Association Committee on Women in the Profession, Betsy launched the landmark study of women in law, Glass Ceilings and Open Doors. Soon after, in the Fordham Law Review, Betsy reflected on overcoming bias, balancing work and family, and becoming a leader. Betsy also talked about her personal style of mentoring, both women and men.
We had a funny conversation about typing once, where I told her that I could type really fast, and that was really helpful for preparing briefs and memos on the computer. And she said she deliberately didn't learn typing ever because she never wanted to be forced to be a secretary.
She, in my opinion, actually put down the pavement for women in the profession, and not just women, for anyone in this profession who hasn't been stereotypically thought of as being champions of this profession. It's because she made it, and made it to the highest levels of this profession based on her hard work and dedication.
Beyond being an extraordinary mentor and trailblazer, Betsy has been a guiding force in the profession through her work with many, many major legal organizations.
Well, Judge Wood invited Betsy to chair the Foley Square Merit Selection Panel in 2009. But each of the 9 appointments and reappointments that she presided over were on my watch, I'm proud to say. Those reappointments, and particularly the appointments, were widely acclaimed.
I think there are 2 aspects to Betsy's barrier breaking. First is what she's done to foster women in the profession. But there's a second aspect, and that's the different positions Betsy has held. And yes, you could say that fosters diversity, but what I think it really does is it represents where we've come to, in some cases, not all unfortunately, where the best person in the room, and that is frequently Betsy, the best leader in the room, and that is frequently Betsy, is selected. And that suggests real progress and something we should celebrate, and we should celebrate today.
Betsy's leadership has earned her recognition from scores of organizations. Her extraordinary successes as a litigator has made her a go-to national expert for insights into some of the largest sexual and gender discrimination cases of our time.
Well, Betsy's been one of the seminal figures in our 142-year history. She's just been an extraordinarily significant figure, and she's clearly been the most significant woman in the history of the firm.
Betsy has turned client advocacy into an art form.
She's always represented us very well, and she has that unique quality from a client's point of view of really getting it. So as you explain a case, she understands very rapidly, really more rapidly than most others.
Everybody I know trusts her. Senior executives where I work, if I say this is a serious matter and I'm bringing in Betsy Plevan, they know, number one, that it's really a serious matter, I'm not kidding, and they know that we're bringing in the best.
So what is it like to actually face off against Betsy?
Oy.
Tough.
It's just tough. I think we're not supposed to talk about fear here, but she's persistent. She doesn't stop. She keeps going.
And she can be anywhere up from absolutely charming to can I strangle her and still practice law.
Betsy is a driven litigator and leader. But what's she like when it comes to leisure time? A longtime friend found out during a 75-mile bicycle trip from Verona to Venice.
I start off in a group, but all of a sudden Betsy is out in front, and I'm biking back with Ken and Julie and some of our other friends, and we're saying, well, Betsy's gone.
Setting the pace, taking the lead, that's Betsy. And as we reflect on her achievements, it's her unique personal qualities that continue to impress and inspire us.
She has great judgment.
Good person.
Inspirational.
Pioneer.
My word is indefatigable, if I could say it.
I couldn't say that word.
It's a great pleasure to salute Betsy tonight as the 3rd recipient of the James Duane Award for her extraordinary service to the Mother Court. Congratulations, Betsy.